Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 at 6:32. Roll call. Kaylee?
Councilmember Darms?
Here.
Councilmember Knight? Here. Councilmember Tiomson?
Here.
Vice Mayor Grimm?
Here.
Councilmember Stafford?
Present.
Councilmember Richardson is absent. Mayor Marks?
Here. We're all here but Member Richardson. Okay, invocation and pledge allegiance. Tonight, Councilmember Fran Darms is going to do the invocation. Please stand.
Dear Lord, we thank you for bringing us together. We come before you with humble hearts and gratitude. Please guide our thoughts and discussions tonight. Grant us wisdom, clarity, and unity as we work together for a fruitful outcome, bringing lasting benefits as we seek solutions that serve the greater good. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, the first order of business is a public hearing, adoption of millage rate and budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. Going to read the opening statement. The City of Orange City intends to adopt a millage rate and budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. The rolled back rate is 6.5019 mils. The proposed millage rate is 7.8000 mils, which represents a 19.96% increase over the rolled back rate as provided by the property appraiser of Volusia County. Our first motion for millage ordinance is ordinance number 693. Becky, could you read that, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, this is ordinance number 693, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, certifying the millage rate for fiscal year 2025-2026 on all taxable property located within the City of Orange City, Volusia County, Florida, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. We would just need motion on the floor.
Make a motion to accept ordinance number 693.
A second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment? We'll come up to the, are we not doing that now?
Staff presentation first.
Before the public comment for each one?
So Devlin would, yeah.
Because that's why I was asking, because
We're-
that's after all of that. This is over here, this is there.
Correct. So
We're right here.
Becky would read these into the record because you won't be able to make a motion.
So we're not making any motions then, we just did on that one.
This is just stating that this motion must be adopted first, and this would be the second one. So she would read the titles, and then we would go into Devlin's staff presentation first, and then we'll open a public hearing, and
Okay.
then city council.
Okay, I apologize, everybody, we're gonna have to change this up in the future, but we're gonna, Becky, would you read the second motion into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, this is ordinance number 694, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, adopting the annual budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, and ending September 30, 2026, authorizing subsequent amendments by resolution, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Do you want them to withdraw the first motion because we're not there yet?
Yes.
Vice
Okay,
Mayor?
I'll withdraw that motion.
And then withdraw the second? Okay, because we're going to do that later.
Yeah. Okay, we're moving
Staff
into
presentation now.
staff presentation. Devlin Moore.
Thank goodness we only have to do this once a year, right? Devlin Moore, Finance Director. So much of what you're going to hear tonight has been discussed before. And it is my intention for this public hearing to keep things at a very high level, to go over the budgetary highlights so that the citizens can kind of get up to speed on things. Tonight's special hearing is being conducted in accordance with Florida Statute Section 200. This public hearing was advertised on the trim notices that were mailed by the property appraiser. It's been a busy budget cycle so far. On May 13th, the City Council held a budget input session where the council sought input from citizens on what they'd like to see in the budget. On July 28th, they gave a comprehensive budget overview presentation, and then the City Council set the proposed millage rate at 7.8 mils on July 22nd. On August 11th, the City Council held a budget workshop, and at that workshop, Council directed staff to balance the budget with a millage rate of 7.3287, and then tonight we're here at the public hearing. On September 23rd, you'll have your CRA meeting to adopt the CRA budget at 6 p.m., and then the second public hearing will be held at 6:30. That public hearing will be advertised in the News Journal on September 19th. We're going to start with the millage overview, ordinance number 693. The proposed budget that was originally presented to council in late July was balanced with a millage rate of 6.8691, which represented a 5.65% increase over the rolled back rate. The rolled back rate is 6.5019. The rolled back rate is the millage rate that would generate the same amount of revenue as the prior year, excluding any revenues for new construction. On July 22nd, City Council set the proposed rate at 7.8 mils, and the intent was to offer flexibility during the workshop process and the public hearings to make sure that you can accomplish what you wanted to in this budget. That millage rate of 7.8 would have generated an additional $1.2 million in the general fund and represented an increase over the rollback rate of 19.96%. During the workshop, City Council directed staff to make some revisions, and it was determined at that time that a rate of 7.2387 would be required to balance the budget and to ensure that all recurring expenditures were fully covered by recurring revenues. And as such, the ordinance that you have before you is balanced at that millage rate. It did generate an additional $468,000 and represents an 11.33% increase over the rolled back rate. The increase in the millage rate is necessary in order to fund the increasing costs of maintaining existing service levels and programs and to fund 3 new positions. This slide represents taxable values over the last 10 years. The taxable values for tax year 2025 for the City of Orange City is $1.4 billion. This is a 133% increase over the taxable values in 2016. Year over year, the increase has been largely driven by new construction, and much of that new construction having higher values than the existing housing stock. And also because of commercial, when Safer Homes, homesteaded properties have a cap of maximum of 3%. Sometimes it's less, like this year it's 2.9%. With commercial properties, that cap is 10%, so realize some of the gains with that as well. This slide represents the new taxable values over the last 10 years. The bars represent new taxable values, and then the line represents the moving average. We continue to see positive growth in new construction, and that has largely driven the increases in the ad valorem tax revenue over the last 10 years. The new taxable values for tax year 2025 total $58.3 million. That is a 66% increase over the last year and is the highest valuation in new property values in the last 10 years. This slide represents the millage rate over the last 10 years. The proposed rate of 7.2387 represents an increase of less than 0.4 of a mil and remains lower than the rates adopted in the 7-year period between fiscal year 16-17 and fiscal year 22-23. This slide depicts what the proposed millage rate would look like when compared to the average value of a home. So in the city of Orange City, the taxable value of the average home, the average taxable value of the homes in Orange City increased by 8.8% from $134,000 to $146,000. So the average in Orange City for tax year 2025 is $146,000. In the top chart, this is a property that is not homesteaded. So if you take the average taxable values and you see that the original value is $134,000, it's increasing by that 8.77%. When you look at tax year 2024 at a rate of 6.8691, city would realize taxes in the amount of $923 for a year. In tax year 2025, with a millage rate of 7.2387, the city would receive $1,058 a year. That's an increase of $135 in a year for a non-homesteaded property. Below, which is going to be the majority of the homes in Orange City, you have the homesteaded properties, and the increase in taxable value is capped by that 2.9% Save Our Homes cap. So you can see in the column where it says tax year 2025, the home value, instead of increasing to that $146,000, it's increased to $138,000, which is a $3,897 increase. The average taxes, when you compare tax year 2024 and the current rate, is at $923 with a rate of 7.2387. The taxes to the city is $1,001. It's an increase in taxes for this average property of $78 a year or $6 a month. What I'm depicting here on this slide is the breakdown of the total proposed millage on your trim notice. And this is taken into account the new tentative rate of 7.2387 rather than the 7.8 that was shown on the trim notice. When you take that into account, the total mills on a tax bill would be 19.2853. And of course, this is all tentative because the other agencies may come down. For every dollar that's paid in property taxes, the city receives 38 cents. And that covers the police, the fire, the parks, public works, all of that. Volusia County receives 29 cents of every dollar. The school board receives 27 cents of every dollar. And then there's 3 other agencies that share 6 cents. Those agencies being West Volusia Hospital Authority, the St. Johns River Water Management District, and the Florida Inland Navigation District. I'm going to move into the budget overview, Ordinance 694. This slide is depicting what the projected fund balances would be after appropriation. So this is taking into account all those transfers in from prior earnings or reserves to balance the budget. The total general fund, which is made up of general fund, capital improvement fund, and facility construction fund, totals $9.8 million. So that's what will be left in reserves after the adoption of this budget if it goes through as drafted. The utility enterprise funds would have a balance of about $5.4 million, and the stormwater enterprise fund will have about $130,000. And that's in line with what was projected in the rate study that was adopted earlier, so nothing too scary there. The impact fees for fire department, police department, culture, recreation, and transportation total $1.6 million. And then all other special funds, special revenue funds total $170,000. That would be the tree bank fund, the solid waste fund, the forfeiture fund, and the street lighting fund. Here we're taking a snapshot of the general fund budget, and it's laid out in this way so that you kind of get a better apples to apples picture. So I'm taking a general fund for the adopted, for the current year adopted, current year amended, and the proposed, and backing out those transfers out and getting you a number that really reflects what the total general fund operating is. The transfers out typically are funds that are being moved to the capital improvement fund or the stormwater fund. For instance, $165,000 was transferred from general fund to the stormwater fund to buy a pump. So I'm backing it out so that you can see that for the operating budget, the adopted budget's increasing from about 17.5 million to 20.2 million. That's an increase of $2.7 million or 16%. So why is the budget increasing that much? There's quite a bit of things going on here. First and foremost, the fiscal year 26 proposed budget includes 8 new fire positions for the city of DeBary. Those are not reflected in the current adopted or amended. Those will actually be added as part of the final budget amendment brought to you in November. So that's being captured there. You also have a number of positions that were added in the current budget that were prorated. So you had 4 positions that started in January. They were prorated 9 months, and 2 positions that were that started in July. Those were prorated 3 months. So in the proposed budget, you're getting that full 12 months of funding for those positions. The proposed budget also includes 3 new positions, which we'll go into a little bit more detail momentarily, and it includes all those other various increases in operating and personnel costs. This slide depicts in summary the adjustments that were made to the budget since the publication was given to City Council. In your agenda item, there's a little bit more detail on these things, but just quickly to go over, under the on the right side, you have your revenues. The increase in millage from 6.8691 to 7.2387 generated an extra $468,000. Then we increased the use of fund balance by $100,549 to cover non-recurring expenses. And then the contract revenues for DeBary Fire increased by about $120,000. That's to capture the raises that were given to the union. And that's a pass-through revenue that goes, it's offset with the expenditure side. For a total adjustments of $688,000. Then we have our expenditures. So we have the 2 new police officer positions that were added during the workshop, the special events coordinator position, the implementation of the the additional funding needed to implement the pay adjustments that were discussed during the council's executive session on August 11th. Then we reappropriated the grant writing services, increased attorney services, and then there were some various other adjustments. Again, that's detail in the amendment or in the agenda item, should you have any questions on that. Here we have a snapshot of the revenues. Ad valorem revenue taxes account for about 45% of all recurring revenues. In total, about $9.2 million. DeBary Fire Services brings in $3.5 million. Other taxes, about $3.1. Permits, fees, and assessments, $2.1 million. And intergovernmental, $1.9 million. The other sources, interfund transfers in, that's a transfer in from the utility fund, the CRA fund, various other funds. Miscellaneous revenues, charges for services, the use of fund balance, and fines and forfeitures total $1.5 million. This is a snapshot of how the money is being spent. Public safety is at approximately $8.9 million. If you back out from the total expenditures, the interfund transfers out and the DeBary Fire Services, you'll find that the cost of public safety, police and fire, accounts for more than half of the total general fund budget at about 52%. Then you have everything else. You have general government, DeBary Fire Services, fleet and facilities, streets and sidewalks. You have interfund transfers out. That's out to the capital improvement fund and the building safety fund, parks and recreation, and debt service for a total of $21.2 million. Some highlights regarding the general fund budget. Again, it's balanced with that transfer in from reserves of $247,000. Recurring revenues are sufficient to meet recurring expenditures, which is essential. It funds those 3 new positions previously discussed. It provides $90,000 for contingency should anything come up that needs to be funded. Obviously not a hurricane, unfortunately, but other things that may be within that available funding. And then it funds pay adjustments for all employees. capital funds. This is made up of the capital improvement fund, the 4 impact fee funds, and the facility construction fund, and it totals $7.3 million. How's capital monies being spent? Well, about $4 million is being used for the design of new facilities. That would be for the new Public Works facility, Public Safety Building, and Fire Station 68. Then you have facility improvements. That's primarily going to be the interior remediation of City Hall and the parking lots, which we'll talk about a little bit more on the next slide. $542,000 slated for street infrastructure improvements, $306,000 for fleet equipment, and you have equipment that's non-IT, parks improvements, IT equipment, and reserve for fund balance. The reserve for fund balance is for the fire impact fee and a transportation fee. There's nothing budgeted in those funds, but we anticipate revenues coming in, so any revenues that do come in will be put aside for future use. Some budget highlights concerning the capital funds. The plan includes, but is not limited to, the design of those 3 new buildings. Phase 2 of the City Hall remediation project being the interior and some minor renovations. There's design and construction of the parking lots at City Hall. That includes both the 220 Graves Avenue parking lot and the one here behind City Hall. And it's a cost share between the general fund and the CRA. However, there is $293,000 in CDBG, or Community Development Block Grant funding, that's going to be applied to that parking lot for 220 Graves. You have the road resurfacing. There are 3 new vehicles, 3 replacement public safety vehicles and 2 new police vehicles. Those 2 police vehicles will be paid for out of the police impact fees. You have IT, non-IT equipment replacements, including a new phone system for City Hall, so that the IT director doesn't need to go on eBay and try to find parts and pieces. And the redesign of Coleman Park. This is the final redesign, and that's being funded out of the Parks and Recreation impact fees. High-level overview of the enterprise funds. You have your primary utilities revenue fund. This is where the majority of the action happens for the water and sewer system. That budget's increased by 12% from $8.1 million to $9.1 million. Then you have some other ancillary utility funds, including renewal replacement, alternate water, and water and wastewater connection fees, and those total cost $1.2 million. Total budget for water and sewer is $10.2 million. Then they have the stormwater fund. That fund is increasing from the adopted budget of $1.3 million to $1.7 million. That does represent a 66% increase, but it is pursuant to the stormwater rate study and master plan that was adopted by council back in June. Some highlights for the utilities fund. It is balanced with a transfer in of prior earnings of $210,000. That's to cover non-recurring capital improvements, and includes 2 new positions. There's almost $1 million in capital equipment and infrastructure improvements, $476,000 slated for renewal and replacement activities. That's that proactive fund where money gets put aside to address infrastructure needs as it comes, and there's $84,000 in contingency in this fund. The stormwater fund was prepared based on the 2025 stormwater rate study and master plan. It is balanced with the $357,000 transfer in from prior earnings, which matches what was presented in that plan earlier this year. It includes 3 new positions as suggested by the rate study. It includes proactive funding or increased funding to address stormwater maintenance needs. There is $727,000 in capital equipment and infrastructure improvements, and this fund has $31,000 in contingency. Lastly, we have our other funds. It consists of solid waste, the CRA, street lighting, Kentucky Avenue Special Assessment District, the Tree Bank, and the Building Safety Fund. Those total costs, the total budget is proposed at $3.6 million for those funds. Some highlights regarding those is there's that increase in the solid waste fund, but that's to cover the enhanced services that are to be provided by the new Waste Pro contract. The CRA fund has continued funding for facade grants, and it parks $1.9 million for its portion of the design and construction of the City Hall complex parking. And as indicated there, that's being augmented partially by the general fund. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Did you want to speak?
Oh, yes, I do. I had a question for you, Devin, because in reviewing the budget, I'm seeing where, on the operational personal service total, where you had travel and per diem for council, you increased it by over $31,000. And I was just wondering, why the sudden big increase on council travel and per diem? I wanted to know that to consciously make a good decision on how I'm going to vote with this one.
Sure. So Ms. Arrington, Kaylee and I had met and we talked about the travel and per diem for the council. There's, I think, been some more, an increase in, the Tallahassee. There's been some proactive travel. We're seeing, an increase compared to prior years. And based on the actuals that we've been seeing on the books and what we knew was coming up, it was deemed necessary in order to provide that funding necessary to fund the travel and per diem for council. And of course, if whatever's not spent, will just go back to fund balance in the end.
But, and question again.
Let me comment on it. I might be able to help you with what you're trying to figure out. So a few meetings back or so, we talked about when I went to Tallahassee by myself. And when I went to Tallahassee, all the cities were represented with other representatives from the city. I went there to ask for $3.2 million or whatever it was. It may be off a couple $100,000, and I went in there as a new mayor to ask for all this money so that we could build these facilities and not put the burden on our taxpayers. And when I went in there, we kind of looked like a joke because all these cities had their city managers, they had, the city commissioners or council with them, and they went in there to rally to get that money for their city. And if you look at the results this year, who's the one city that didn't get any money? It was Orange City. If you look at most of the cities got money. So we had talked about it as a council that we needed to add to that budget so that we could bring a few more people with us to continue to rally for this money so we didn't have to put that burden on the taxpayers.
Okay, and I understand that very well. But when I first came to the dais, I asked that very same question. And it was told to me, if you wanted to attend the meeting, you would have to pay for it yourself. You would come out of your pocket, and we wouldn't worry about, because when the mayor went, the mayor would represent everyone. So
And
I was just wondering why the sudden change in that when I was told I had to fund it myself.
it's a very good question, and that is absolutely right. So we've been on the council together for a little while, and it was always the mayor could only be the only one to go. And we all questioned it because we wanted to go. And that's the way it was always done. But this is a new day, and this new council talked about it, had a discussion, decided that maybe we needed to add more people to go because it's an expensive trip for us to put our own money into.
Yeah, it
you know what I
is.
mean? And so, but you're going there to rally for money for
Support.
for the town or the city, and also you're with other elected officials that are doing the same
Right.
thing. So you're really you're fighting for money. So this was put in for that reason, so that you wouldn't have to take it out of your own pocket to do this for the city. And so it's a positive move in my opinion, but it's a good question because I remember that. I do.
Yeah, and also reviewing it, when we get the increase for the support that the mayor is going to need when they go to Tallahassee, I was wondering, looking at the budget, they reduce the funding for staff to go to trainings with per diem and everything. They reduced that funding, and I was looking at, well, the staff are the people that's going to really need to stay abreast of the new federal, state, and local laws in order to govern our city properly. So they received a cut in receiving monies to go to training that is gonna benefit the city, and we're receiving monies that's gonna also benefit the city. But I was wondering, how does it play out?
I can address the staff training. So no training was eliminated. What Ms. Arrington decided was that it wasn't necessary to send 2 or more people to the same training session. So at least one person will be attending each one of those training sessions. Nothing was cut, and the thought was that they would go and then bring back their knowledge and share it with the rest of the team.
Okay. Just wanted to
Anybody
make
else from the
sure.
council? Are you good? Okay. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to open a public hearing. Would anybody from the public like to speak? I have one on, I have Alan Bradley, if you'd like to come up and speak on that. And this speaker form has a couple different things on there, so I know you have budget and millage. You may want to come back to the stormwater to different, I mean, you can come back up for that. Okay, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, good evening, Ms. Mayor, members of the council and staff. My name is Alan Bradley. Address is 981 Club Park Loop. We're a secure store, self-storage in Park Hill Master Development. And as a small business owner, I think there's something really difficult to stomach with this. In one of the earliest slides of the presentation, since 2016, revenues have increased 133%. That's 9 years, that's 10% per year. You're asking for increases this year to my taxes on my business of nearly 16%. I don't see how the city has doubled in 9 years to have double the revenues. I don't know that if you polled every resident, they'd feel like they're getting twice as much out of the city over those 9 years. I do know that as a small business owner, I can't afford to raise my prices 16% this year to be able to pay property taxes at such a high increase. Something that was pointed out, especially with Save Our Homes for residents, that's way more important than businesses. But as a business, I'm capped at a 10% property value increase. But then when you increase tax millages on top of that, it's compounded. So I'm looking at $41,000 more property taxes on my property, and I'm self-storage. I'm not Kohl's. I'm not owned by Wall Street. I'm a local person. I live in Central Florida. I grew up here. I'm trying to run a business, and I don't see how I can do this with a 16% tax increase in 1 year, and presumably, based on history, I'm going to have tax increases again next year, and the year after, and the year after, because that's a track record I've seen. So how do I stay in business? How do I ask my customers to keep paying me these increases so that I can pay taxes? Because at the end of the day, yes, I am a business. Yes, I do need to make money because I'd like to pay for my house and buy my food. I know it's not the same as asking a resident to spend more on their property taxes, but it's the same argument. A person with a Save Our Homes cap of 3% is going to be paying way more than a 3% increase with this new budget. How do you expect the elderly on a fixed income to come up with 10% more property taxes every year? I understand the breakdown of things that this is going towards, but I'm trying to visualize in a city that hasn't been growing. I don't think the city has doubled in 9 years or grown 133%, more than doubled in 9 years, but asking for that much more money in the same time period. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Come on up. Are you speaking about the budget? This is about the budget. I have your for later. Ma'am, did you want to come up and speak about the budget? No? Okay. Okay, at this time, we're going to close the public hearing, and we're going to go to city council discussion. Any discussion on the budget?
So I did have,
Go ahead.
yes, Madam Mayor, if I may, when we were discussing the property taxes and we were discussing, I believe it was Dale, and maybe Christine, you can impart some knowledge on this. When it comes to property taxes for our residents, it's based on not just a percentage, it's also based on how long the resident has been in the home when they purchased their house, and so on and so forth. So if you can expound upon that a little bit?
Sure.
Okay.
So homestead exemptions afford the long-term residents a shelter or a protection of not going up in value more than 3% a year. With that, it's tied to CPI. So that also, like Devlin mentioned during his presentation, this year it was less than 3%, it was 2.9.
If I can interject, CPI, if you can just give
Oh.
that.
Consumer Price Index, and it's calculated by the state of Florida, and they in turn tell us what the property appraiser will be allowing the assessed values or taxable values to increase. On the other side of that equation is also what was also discussed, and that's the commercial situation. And with the commercial, that's capped at 10. Previously, that was not capped. They had put that in a number of years ago. It was set to sunset, and the Florida legislature adopted it as a permanent cap and added that 10% protection to the commercial as well. So if you've been in your home for 20 years, you have not seen a large increase in your taxable value. But if you bought a home this year, it's arguably at the current value of, $250,000 to $400,000, depending. And so that's why we go through and show what the average is. So on that slide where it showed going from 130 something to 140, that is an average, and each tax bill will look very different. I produced that for a number of people so that they can actually see what that means to them or what that means to their neighbor. So in a conversation, in order to really understand individually, or a property owner individually, you really have to look at that. And I did look at the commercial property that we were just discussing, and can see that, what was presented in the trim notice was that 7.8. We are set tonight to adopt a lower rate than that. So what was presented will be less. And I did not calculate the percentage increase. Given a couple of minutes, I could, but it's definitely not going to be the 7.8% mills. They're set to do the 7.2387, which would then bring that down a few $1,000s. However, looking at your tax bill, I can also see that the stormwater is a rather large jump, and that was based on the master plan that you all adopted, based on the needs of that operating system to protect and take care of our infrastructure for stormwater.
Right.
And so this year, it's a rather large increase, and we've set that for the next few years, that you've already adopted what's going to happen next year and so on. So it's definitely a year of increases. We've discussed between the garbage or solid waste, the stormwater, and then now the tough, job of adopting a budget and what's necessary to fund what those needs are, or what the council decides is the policy of what we're going to provide to our citizens, and that's to add a few new police officers and a new events position. So there's no refuting that things have gone up.
Well, thank you for explaining it, because that was my purpose, was just getting the background of it, because not one size fits all.
No.
And like you said, it is just an average.
Yes.
And there's a lot of variables that go into that, so that,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on Mr. Bradley's comment also. So you were asking, you said surely we haven't increased or doubled in all these years, but the thing is that it's not just about doubling residents. We've been putting a lot of hours into this budget, and I don't think anybody up here wants to raise taxes, to be honest, because we have to pay it too. but there's needs in the city, and the only way they're going to get taken care of is if we do raise it. And so we really went around and around, and of course we set the millage proposed rates high so that we have room to wiggle down to where we want to go. And we'd all like to wiggle down really lower than where we are right now, to be honest with you. But there's needs in our city, and you know, the police officers are working, you know, crazy hours because they don't have enough police officers. We need more police officers, so that's why we, as a collaborative here, said we need to have 2 more police officers. I'm just explaining why we're doing what we're doing. The events coordinator, we have a public information officer that's trying to do 2 jobs right now, and our initiative as a council was to give more communication to the residents and let you know what we're doing and where your money's going, and because it's easier to take if you know where your money's going. It's not something we like, because like you said, people are on fixed incomes, and we get that. So it's not something that we want to do, but there's things that are needed. We've had major storms hit our city that have ruined facilities that we've had. We've had to redo a lot of that. So our contingency fund went down a lot. We had to use a lot for that. And so this year has been really hard because we had to change the trash company. Our trash company, the service of our trash company was not acceptable to the residents or to the council. So we decided to go with a new trash company. Well, we had the same trash company for years and years. And so when you keep the same person, you keep the same rate. And so everybody was afraid to go to something new, because then the price goes up, and then that hurts everybody in this room, right? So, you know, we decided to make that decision because you want to get what you're paying for. You're going to pay money, good money, to a trash company. You don't want trash all over your neighborhood. You don't want them not picking your trash up. And this goes for residential and commercial. Christine could say, because she was the one that was taking care of all those calls, our interim city manager. So there's many variables into it, and it's not just, it's needs in the city, and how are we going to do that? We try to take the burden off, and Devlin, you can agree with this, with grants. We try to go out and get as much money as we can, and that's what I was saying about Tallahassee. We were trying to get the state to help us with these facilities that are just dilapidated or flooding or just not acceptable for our public safety to work in. You know, if y'all could take a tour, you would not believe what you see. It's ridiculous. And so Orange City's been behind the times for years, and we're trying to get caught up to the rest of the cities and have good facilities for our employees, but also to have enough employees so that they're not overworked or overtired and they can't even drive down the road half asleep. You know, it's just not, it's not safe for our employees, right, or our public safety. And then the infrastructure. Our infrastructure is really old in Orange City, so with these big storms that hit us, we have realized that there's a lot of pipes in there that are too small. We need bigger pipes to make the water flow to the right place, or where are we going to put the water? So there's so much more into it, and I could go on all night and tell you all about it, but I won't bore you with that. But so when we make these decisions up here, it's not, we really do think about it. We don't want to put a burden on the residents, but so when we went to 7.8, that's not where we want to be. And so we went around and around as a council, and, you know, the constituents that came out, and Devlin worked up the numbers as the finance manager to say, okay, this is how much it's going to cost if you want A, B, and C. And that's where we got to our numbers of 7.23. And so I think that's why we were proposing to go to that tonight, was for that reason. And I'm glad that you pointed that out, Christine, that it will be a little less than what you had said.
Yeah.
It's not going to be 7.8, because none of us would feel easy about that up here. I can tell you that right now. But if you looked at the PowerPoint that Devlin had up, and it showed about 9 years ago, we are still lower than we were 9 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah.
For the
millage.
So I've been on the council for 7 years, and we did not raise taxes. You know, we can't control the rollback rate, but we did not raise taxes for many years. And it was so nice to say, we're not raising taxes, right? Because that's what I want to be. I want to say that. But if we don't have a choice up here, and it's really hard to make that decision, because just remember, we're people that live here too, and we don't want to pay it. But we have to do this in order to move our city forward and get the tools that we need to operate professionally and safely, right? So I just wanted y'all to understand that. Is there any comment from the council on that? Councilmember Knight?
I just want you to understand that we're not discounting what you were saying, what your concerns are. I completely can understand where you're coming from. We did not take this decision lightly, because we knew it was going to affect small business. We knew it was going to affect even the larger business, but they make enough money, they can handle it.
Yeah.
But, you know, prices have gone up on a lot of things. It's incredible. Trying to fix stormwater issues and the drainage, the pipes and stuff that they need have gone up. And we've got to address stormwater. That's my biggest thing, because my house flooded during Milton, so I can understand the urgency of getting that fixed. So I just want you to know that we are not discounting your concerns.
Councilmember Thompson?
Yes, and to that point, and to put a more positive spin on it, the hope is, and what I want to bring to it is, we need to get these grants, we need to find all of these fundings that we can, Tallahassee, wherever we can. There is money out there available. I know it's getting leaner, but there's money available, and if we can capture that, it's going to put that back into our city, and it's going to take the burden off the taxpayer. So when we're looking at a house, let's just put it down to small terms. If we bought a house that needed repairs, we're not going to just put Band-Aids on it. We're going to put good repairs into it, because that's a capital improvement. Our city is our capital. We need to improve it, and we need to improve it with our staff. We need to improve it with our stormwater, everything that we do. And so in order to do that, sometimes we have to, you know, tighten the belt a little bit. But the hope is that we can get more money from our grant funding and our state, some of the things that some of the other cities got that we did not. And so that's what we want to bring to the table for our constituents this coming fiscal year.
Yeah, and I want y'all to know that when I did go to Tallahassee, we were approved for $900,000 for the fire department, but the governor vetoed it. It went to the governor. It got approved all the way to the governor, and then he went, nope. So we did not get it. So we have to keep trying for that, right?
And the other
Councilmember Stafford?
thing, yes, the gentleman there, sitting on the dais, I did not agree to the 7.8% because I thought it was way too high for our residents, okay? And as I look at that, hey, for us to get the proper services that we need to protect all residents, that 7.2 sounds real good to us, because you got a police department that needs two officers, and our special events coordinator, because our person that's the PIO person, she is swamped with additional whatever. She's really swamped, and she needs that help in order to make our city great, in order to keep it up so we can all be proud of it. I did not agree to that 7.8, never would have agreed to it, but I do think it's a time for an increase. That 7.2 sounds real good to me right longer now. It's the cost of living that's killing all of us, because that's the first thing I said. That 7.8 is going to affect me as well. So I'm glad that we could get it down to a 7.2 and everybody be comfortable and safe. So thank you for coming up.
Councilmember Darms?
Yeah, running the city is kind of like having the responsibility of running a business or paying taxes on your home. Because in the past year, we've experienced some serious problems. We lost several police cars. Those had to be, we were borrowing cars from the land. Now, when you start the year off, you don't expect that you're gonna have to replace 2 to 3 cars and repair others. The other problem that we have, and it's a county issue as well, is the stormwater problem. That costs money to address the issue. And so they're trying to deal with it as well. And, you know, they are doing the same thing. They got to get money, and they have to apply for it just like we have to. But sometimes we just never foresee, like before Milton, that we were going to lose police cars. And, you know, have you looked at buying a car lately? Imagine, and a police car is situated with a lot more equipment and everything. So it puts us in a quandary because we don't want to do it, but what are we going to do? You know, it's like I said, it's like having a business or a home. If your roof needs to be replaced, you may not want to do it, but you got to do it. I know, I did it this year. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. Being up here, we have to think like the average guy walking down the street, because when unforeseeables come up, now we have to deal with that and try to respect the residents and what they're going to have to go through. So the one thing I would say, we don't do this just for the sake of raising taxes. We don't. It is to address issues that we don't have any other, control over. So, but I do understand where you're coming from, truly do.
Yeah, I think that everybody up here is, if you've heard it in the audience here, we're just people too, and we're trying to make the best decision for the city. There's a lot going on, and that's why we want to give our PIO, the Public Information Officer, more time to do her job by adding this events coordinator, because you all need to know what's happening in your city, right? You need to know, like, these things that we're talking about. Many of you might not even have heard this before. We had 2 washouts, 2 major roads wash out that we had to, and we heard a lot of complaints. When are you going to get them done? I think Monastery is underway now. Yeah. But it takes money to do that. So we're a little city. We had to find the money, and it's happening. So we're making it happen, and I'm proud to say that. But there's always a cost. There's nothing for free. So, but we do. I can say that our staff goes out and looks for the best price possible for anything we do, and they also look for grants. And that's why in our budget proposal, we are trying to keep our grant writer, because she brings us a lot of money in, the one that has been writing for years. And that was going to be nixed off the budget. And we're like, no, because if we take her away, then there's no more free money. And then what happens, it's going to go to 7.8. We don't want that. And anybody that voted for 7.8 up here did not want that. But we have to have a starting. Every year you're going to see us start really high, and you're going to go, they're crazy. Why would they do that, right? Because I did it. I was in that audience. I didn't know any better, and I'd say, I'm not paying that, right? So if I was sitting over there, I would say the same thing. I'd say, I have a business here too. I don't want to pay that. But when you sit on this side, it's a whole different ballgame, because then you go, how am I going to do this? I've got to be fiscally responsible for the money, but I also have to be listening to the residents. I have to listen to what their needs are, but not bury them in bills either. So it's really challenging for all of us up here. And we will always start high, just so you know, every year. Don't believe that number, because since I've been here 7 years, we've never went with that high number. We just have to do that, because once you set a number, you cannot go up. You can only go down. So I think it's just about the education to let everybody know it's happening. And that's our initiative up here, is to educate the residents on what we're doing, when we're doing it, how much it costs. And any of you can ask anybody up here anytime if you ever want. We're open. You can call us, email us, or things like that. And that's our initiative. That's why we have new signs up. We have the digital sign up there. We have a new app, because we want you to connect with us. So just keep that in mind, that we're listening, we hear you. I don't want anybody to feel unheard here tonight, but we have to do what we have to do to make the city move forward. And I look at it like it's an investment. So your money, our money, I should say all of our money, that whoever lives here, we're investing in our city together. And that way our roads are going to be good eventually. Our pipes are going to be good eventually. Maybe not in our lifetime, because there's a lot of pipes, right? But we're trying, and it's an investment to make things better for our residents, and not for us up here, I promise you. It's for everybody. And if there's no other comments, we'll move on.
Mayor Marks, if there's no other comments, I'd like to make a recommendation. Do I need to do the first and second action at the same time?
No, there would be a motion on the first one.
Okay. So I'd like to make a recommendation to adopt the millage ordinance number 693, setting the 2025 millage rate at 7.2387 mils, which reflects 11.33 increase over the rolled back rate of 6.5019 mils, as certified by the Volusia County Property Appraiser.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any more public comment? Okay. We'll call the question. Clerk?
Councilmember Tiomson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grimm,
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Councilmember Darms,
Yes.
Councilmember Knight,
Yes.
Mayor Marks.
Yes. And ordinance number 693, millage rate, is adopted at 7.23. Where's my notes? Do I need to read that whole thing again?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so ordinance number 693 of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, certifying the millage rate for fiscal year 25-26 on all taxable property located within the City of Orange City, Volusia County, Florida, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Okay, we're going to move on to ordinance number 694. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept ordinance 694, adopting the annual budget is voted on.
I second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back. For the question?
Vice Mayor Grimm,
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Councilmember Darms,
Yes.
Councilmember Knight,
Yes.
Councilmember Tiomson,
Yes.
Mayor Marks.
Yes. And ordinance number 694 passes. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, adopting the annual budget for 25-26 fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025, and ending September 30th, 2026, authorizing subsequent amendments by resolution, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Okay. We're going to announcement of the proposed millage rate to be read into the record. The closing statement is, the City of Orange City's tentative millage rate for fiscal year 2025-2026 is 7.2387 mils, which reflects a percentage increase in property taxes of 11.33% above the rollback rate of 6.5019 as certified by the property appraiser of Volusia County. The final budget hearing will be held on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, in the council chambers at 201 North Holly Avenue at 6:30 p.m. This ends the public hearing and resumes regular meeting agenda. Okay. Before we start the agenda, I just want to do a couple housekeeping items for the council. There's a couple things that I noticed that we need to start doing as a council, just to make the meeting move a little more smoothly. And one thing is, and I know some of you are doing it, but I just want to kind of reiterate on that, you should address the chair when you want to speak, so that we don't have two people speaking at one time. And if we're having discussion as a council, you should wait until this discussion's closed before making any motions. That way we can make the right decisions up here and not jump into a motion before someone else might want to speak or discuss that. And the other thing is that when it involves financials, we don't want to rush through that. If you're working out numbers and things, give your fellow council member time to work that out before we actually make the motion. Okay, we're going to move on to number 1, absences. Show the absence of Councilmember Lisa Stafford from the August 26, 2025 regular city council meeting be excused. Ms. Stafford, would you like to give an excuse?
Oh, I had a family emergency.
Okay, we just need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to
Prove the
Yep.
absence.
excuse Lisa Stafford from August 26th council meeting.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any public comment on that? Seeing none, we'll bring it back for a vote.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Councilmember Darms,
Yes.
Councilmember Knight,
Yes.
Councilmember Tiomson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grimm,
Yes.
Mayor Marks.
Yes, and the motion passes to accept the absence of Councilmember Lisa Stafford. Is she supposed to vote on her own?
Yes.
Yeah?
She can.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay, number 2, presentations and proclamations. We have none. Number 3, citizens' comments. We have several. Let me see what I got here. Okay, we're going to start with D. Krygowski. Did I say that right? You want to come up to the podium, please? And if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm
Thank you.
Diana Kragowski of 940 West Minnesota. And Madam Mayor and good people of the council, I have to bring this out because I can't have peace if I don't. I know that y'all are talking about how tight money is, and it is for all of us. I noticed that I assume it's the sewage drainage pipe that's going in around the north side of Orange City. Big pipe about like this, dark colored. And I wondered if the county, Volusia County, was going to reimburse you for the work that the same people who did in the city are doing in the county. Because the same contractor has gone down Minnesota and Sparkman and several other streets in our area, but it's also come through to the county side. And the work there is going to be expensive. I'm not an architect or a designer, but I can tell you that it sits on a good-sized hill. And in order to get that water to drain, it's going to have to be dug really deep. And it appears that Orange City's paying the bill to do work in Volusia County. And to me, that doesn't sound quite right. I just had a question with it. Also, if you ask the workers, they say that they've been told not to discuss it, what's going on, what the plans are. I found that kind of, I don't know, well, maybe a little shady. It just didn't seem right to me. There have been one official, and I'm not sure of the position of the other man, who have been threatening my elderly neighbor into selling her property. She's fearful of these men, and they continue to badger her. She's a nervous little lady to start with. She doesn't want to sell. Apparently the forest down West Minnesota is planned for neighborhood development. And when some of that property, an individual tried to purchase it, they were told it was not for sale 2 years ago. Come to find out, the county has bought that property and resold it to a big builder. And I don't know if y'all think this is shady or not, but I'll ask. If someone in a position of government is buying property for cash and putting it in someone else's name, does that sound kind of hokey? Or is it just me? You know, I have questions about this.
So if you'd like, we can connect you with the interim city manager, and she should be able to answer those questions for you.
Wonderful. Yes,
Outside
I
here.
appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, next speaker is Adam Macker.
Hello. Adam Macker, 313 Dirksen Drive in DeBerry. I'm standing here before you because of the blatant corruption of the Volusia Sheriff's Office, Internal Affairs, and most especially Sheriff Mike Chitwood, who will attempt to pretend that he does not know who I am until recently, but that is a bold-faced lie. My father inherited about $30 million worth of real estate in 2015, providing plenty of resources to all the corrupt officials who are willing to make my life hell for monetary reward. And then they have the nerve to call me crazy after intentionally making me that way. I could write a book about what this group has done. I'm not supposed to be alive right now to be telling this story. I say that with Almighty God as my witness, because it is God that kept me alive through all of it. Meanwhile, our shit-for-brain sheriff is sitting over there with his thumb up his ass, pretending to be more ignorant than he already is, which is a very slippery slope when you're not the sharpest tool in the shed to begin with. Please refer to VolusiaTruth.com for rock-solid evidence of double charging on court fines. This is only an indicator of much more sinister criminal activity. Powerful elites here in Volusia are unlawfully collecting on death certificates directly affiliated to our very own sheriff's department. In February 2023, just a little over after a year, I was poisoned in my home. I bumped into Mike Chitwood right outside of the sheriff's office. He looked directly into my eyes and said, "What are you doing here?" in an effort to intimidate me. If we can't trust the sheriff, well, who can we trust? That is a real question. And after visiting some of our local religious organizations, I have come to the realization that the root of our problem is not criminal or political. It is fundamentally of a spiritual nature, and that falls on the spiritual leaders of our community. After all, would a good tree bear bad fruit? With that in mind, I'm going to recite some scripture from the second book of Corinthians, verse 11, chapters 13 through 15, as a warning to false teachers. These are the words of the Apostle Paul. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers are also transformed into ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. My father was molested by a priest in parochial school as a boy, which is ironic considering we have the very same problem here in Orange City today. There are false teachers among us, ladies and gentlemen. With that, I will politely ask each of you here in person and online to please submit the citizen complaint form provided. At the top of the first page, just provide your name, address, and phone number. Bring it to the 4th floor at 123 West Indiana Avenue in DeLand. The sheriff will provide a notary, sign it in front of them. This will open a can of worms so big it will change Volusia County forever, and finally put a stop to police-initiated gang stalking forever. This is a real problem with real victims. Please do your very best by submitting the complaint, which will force their hand. This is very important. Please do your part. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment tonight? Okay, we're going to move on to number 4, the consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment? Okay, we'll bring it back for the question. Kaylee?
Councilmember Knight,
Yes.
Councilmember Thompson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grimm,
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Councilmember Darms,
Yes.
Mayor Marks.
Yes, and the consent agenda passes. Number 5, ordinances, first reading, we have none. Number 6, public hearing, ordinances, second and final reading. 6A, ordinance number 692. Did you read that?
Okay, this is ordinance number 692 on second reading, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, updating the 5-year schedule of capital improvements for fiscal years 24-25 through 28-29, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and providing for an effective date.
Joe Ruiz, I said it right.
You did. Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. Joe Ruiz, Development Services Director with the City of Orange City. I'm going to be very brief today because I do not want to steal the Devlin show that's going on. As presented at August 26th at the council meeting, first reading, the council approved the ordinance 692 for the update to the 5-year capital improvements plan. Tonight, there are no changes to the ordinance. I do have a presentation, should you all prefer that. However, being that there's no changes, I just recommend that the council approve and adopt ordinance 692 at second reading and authorize staff to transmit to the state for compliance.
Council okay with that? We already had the presentation and all that, so we were just looking for a motion.
Madam- Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 692 at second reading and authorize staff to transmit to the state.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back for the question. Kaylee?
Councilmember Darms,
Yes.
Councilmember Knight,
Yes.
Councilmember Tiamson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grimm,
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Mayor Marks.
Yes, and ordinance number 692 is adopted at second and final reading. Moving on to 7 resolutions. Resolution number 392-25.
Okay, this is resolution number 392-25 for adoption, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, relating to the provision of stormwater management services in the incorporated area of the City of Orange City, Florida, providing authority, purpose, and definitions, imposing stormwater service assessments against assessed property located within the City of Orange City, Florida for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, approving the assessment roll and providing for collections, confirming the initial assessment resolution, providing for the application of assessment proceeds, providing for effect, providing for conflict and severability, and providing an effective date.
Devlin Moore?
Good evening, Devlin Moore. I apologize in advance. I'm going to sound like a broken record for the next 5 items. There are certain things I need to put into the record. So this resolution will serve to reimpose the stormwater assessment for tax year 2025. The required notice was published in the newspaper on August 20th, and it was included also on the trim notice. Council previously adopted preliminary rate resolution 383-25 on July 22nd. That resolution set the proposed annual stormwater rate at $23 per EBU or equivalent benefit unit. This represents an increase of the current annual rate of $16.50 per EBU. The proposed rate is pursuant to the stormwater rate study as approved by council on June 24, 2025. Staff recommends council adopt resolution number 392-25.
Thank you. Any discussion from the council? Okay, seeing none, we just need a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 392-25, adopting the final rate resolution for the fiscal year 2025-2026, tax year 2025, stormwater service assessment.
I second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any public comment on that? You want to come up, Mr. Bradley? I was thinking that was the one.
Hello again. Alan Bradley, 981 Club Park Circle, or Club Park Loop, sorry. Secure store self-storage. Again, the lovely trim notice that's got me all riled up. I'm confused on a couple of different levels. A, obviously in the simplest that it's tripling is a big deal, nearly tripling, just under. B, I'm not exactly sure of how it's calculated your EBU, the equivalent building unit. So it kind of follows on to something that I said earlier and then was mentioned back. We talked a lot about stormwater to my previous comments, which have nothing to do with the property tax, but everything to do with this.
Yes.
So there's a lot of increases in the property tax that don't have to do with this that I guess are still kind of less clear to me, especially when I know trash collection was mentioned and I'm not eligible to receive public trash collection. So another question that maybe I'll come and meet with the city about because I pay privately for that. So in the same vein, we have a stormwater increase that I pay privately for my stormwater. I know that the city is made up of many legacy developments and many new developments, and we learn as we go and we learn as we grow. And so I don't know what year you could draw a hard line in the sand to say that new developments after a certain date here in the city of Orange City do treat their own stormwater. Have to meet a pre versus a post. This is possibly a state statute. It's not something I'm unfamiliar with, but I have a private stormwater system that I pay annually to maintain. I keep permits active on it that I pay annually to the state to keep active. And I share that with a number of the other commercial properties around me as part of the Park Hill development. So it's tough to see then that I'm paying for stormwater. I do understand the cost of construction. We built our building. We're contractors and business owners. So I know how hard building materials increases in their costs are going up, especially now with tariffs. But I look at a $4,000 increase annually on stormwater that I don't enjoy a direct benefit of. I know I do enjoy an indirect benefit of it because it does support roads and it does support my neighbors. So part one is I'd love to understand how the EBU is calculated.
Impervious area based on the property appraiser's database. Then it's divided by 500, and then that establishes the number of EBUs. And you currently have 270 EBUs, which is, when you look at a resident who the average is 4.
Right.
That considerably higher, and of course,
Yeah.
you pay a considerably higher fee.
Yeah, and I understand being a larger property.
It's tied to impervious.
Right.
And that's based on the data that is maintained and updated periodically by state statute through our property appraiser's office.
Okay.
And it, yes.
For
Yeah.
the record, time.
Okay, that's fine.
So.
Not one
Did that answer your question, or?
No, I meant it more as a conversation I'd love to come in and have
Okay,
later,
great.
because how that calculates, I'm sure, is based on ordinance. And I'm confused how, I pay a similar amount annually to maintain a private system as what I'm paying publicly now. And again, huge increase. Now, 4 of those units for a standard home, we're talking $132.
Significantly less.
Standard home, significantly less. I know that doesn't hurt as much maybe to a typical residential resident, but my goodness, the business residents are getting squeezed this year. So inflation.
So I'm glad you came in. Definitely get with our interim city manager and see if she can answer some of those questions.
Yeah.
So that you understand, because like I said, we want you to understand what's happening here. We're not trying to
Yeah.
pull anything over on anybody.
No, I know. It's just, it's a lot. It's a big pill to swallow
Yeah,
repeatedly.
definitely.
So,
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I just want to verify his name and his number was.
It's right here on
Okay.
his public speaker form. Yeah, he wrote, yeah, we got you covered. Okay. So we're going to move on to 7B, resolution number 394-25. Becky?
We need to call the question.
Oh, we didn't call the question. Sorry.
All right. Councilmember Knight?
Yes.
Councilmember Tiomson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grimm?
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford?
Yes.
Councilmember Darms?
Yes.
Mayor Marks?
Yes, and resolution number 392-25 passes. Moving on to 7B, resolution number 394-25.
This is resolution number 394-25 for adoption, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, relating to the provision of street lighting services, facilities, and programs in the Briarwood South Street Lighting Assessment Area, providing certain findings, authority, purpose, and definitions, reimposing street lighting assessments for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, confirming the preliminary rate resolution, approving the street lighting assessment roll, and providing for collection of the assessments pursuant to the Uniform Assessment Collection Act, providing for the application of assessment proceeds, providing for effect, providing for conflict and severability, and providing an effective date.
Devlin Moore.
Devlin Moore, Finance Director. This resolution will serve to reimpose the Briarwood South street lighting assessment for tax year 2025. The required notice of hearing was published in the newspaper on August 20th and was included on the trim notices as mailed by the property appraiser. Council previously adopted preliminary rate resolution number 385-25 on July 22nd. That resolution set the proposed annual assessment rate at $80 a lot. This represents an increase from the current annual rate of $72 a lot and is required to cover costs associated with providing the required street lighting in that subdivision. Staff recommends council adopt resolution number 394-25.
Thank you. Any discussion from the council? Okay. Just looking for a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to,
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment on this? Okay, we'll bring it back for the question. Kaylee? Huh? Did you want to say something? No. Okay.
Councilmember Tiampson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grimm,
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Councilmember Darms,
Yes.
Councilmember Knight,
Yes.
Mayor Marks.
Yes, and resolution number 394-25 passes. Moving on to resolution number 393-25.
This is resolution number 393-25 for adoption, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, relating to the collection and disposal of solid waste and recovered materials in the incorporated area of the City of Orange City, Florida, providing authority, purpose, and definitions, imposing solid waste service assessments against residential property located within the City of Orange City, Florida for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, approving the assessment roll and providing for collection, confirming the initial assessment resolution, providing for the application of assessment proceeds, providing for effect, providing for conflict and severability, and providing an effective date.
Devlin Moore?
Devlin Moore, Finance Director. This resolution will serve to reimpose the solid waste service assessment for tax year 2025. The required notice of hearing was published in the newspaper on August 20th and also was included on trim notices mailed by the property appraiser. Council previously adopted preliminary rate resolution 384-25 on July 22nd. The resolution set the proposed annual solid waste assessment rate at $223.91 per unit. This represents an increase from the current annual rate of $198.15 per unit. The adjustment is necessary to support the services provided under the city's new solid waste agreement with Waste Pro, is authorized by council on July 8th, 2025. Staff recommends council adopt resolution 393-25.
Thank you. Any discussion from the council? Okay, I just want to say, this is what we were talking about earlier. This is 2 out of the 3 things that I remember sitting down with the past city manager and saying, I'm a new mayor, and we're going to raise trash, we're going to raise stormwater, and we're going to raise street lighting. You know, this is a big thing, so I'm going to be the worst mayor ever, right? But this is, so this is just, and it was told to me, these are the things that we need to get done in order to move forward. And the trash, obviously, I explained that to you. The street lighting assessment's coming up, so I won't get into that one. But, and then the last one with the stormwater, it was, these are just things that we've already gone through and hashed through and tried to come out with the best answer. And so that's where we're at with that. So we just need a motion.
Mayor Marks, I'd like to make a motion that the city council approve resolution number 393-25, adopting the final rate resolution for the fiscal year 2025-26, tax year 2025 solid waste service agreement.
A second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment? Okay, seeing none, come back and we'll call the question.
Vice Mayor Grimm,
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Councilmember Darms,
Yes.
Councilmember Knight,
Yes.
Councilmember Tiampson,
Yes.
Mayor Marks.
Yes, and resolution number 393-25 passes. Moving on to resolution number 395-25.
This is resolution number 395-25 for adoption, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, relating to the provision of street lighting services, facility, and programs in the Shadow Ridge Street Lighting Assessment Area, providing certain findings, authority, purpose, and definitions, reimposing street lighting assessments for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, confirming the preliminary rate resolution, approving the street lighting assessment roll, and providing for collection of the assessments pursuant to the Uniform Assessment Collection Act, providing for the application of assessment proceeds, providing for effect, providing for conflict and severability, and providing an effective date.
Devlin Moore.
Good evening, Devlin Moore, Finance Director. This resolution serves to reimpose the Shadow Ridge street lighting assessment for tax year 2025. The required ad was published in the newspaper on August 20. Council previously adopted preliminary rate resolution 386-25 on July 22nd. The resolution set the proposed annual assessment rate at $155 a lot. This is the same rate as the current year. Staff recommends council adopt resolution number 395-25.
Thank you. Any discussion? I told y'all to address the chair, now you're not saying anything. Sorry,
Mayor
I had to
Marks,
throw
would it
that
be
out there.
appro-
Did I scare you all? Sorry.
Mayor Marks, would it be appropriate to, so moved? He pretty much read the recommendation.
Yes,
That works.
just need a second.
A second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back for the question. Kaylee?
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Councilmember Darms,
Yes.
Councilmember Knight,
Yes.
Councilmember Tiamson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grimm,
Yes.
Mayor Marks.
Yes, and resolution number 395-25 passes. Moving on to resolution number 396-25.
This is resolution number 396-25 for adoption, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Orange City, Florida, approving the fiscal year 2025-2026 non-ad valorem assessment roll for the South Kentucky Avenue Assessment Area, directing certification of the assessment roll to the Volusia County Tax Collector, repealing all resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Devlin Moore.
Devlin Moore, Finance Director. Thank you for your patience. This is the last one. This resolution will serve to reimpose the Kentucky Avenue Assessment Area for tax year 2025. The Kentucky Avenue Assessment Area was first established in May 2023. At that time, Council approved recurring assessment rates for each parcel that benefited from the Capitol Road improvements along Kentucky Avenue. Following that adoption, 58 parcels, including Country Village, chose to prepay their entire assessment during fiscal year 2023. Those prepaid parcels have been removed from the assessment roll. The remaining parcels, along with the respective annual rates, are included as part of the exhibit on your resolution as Appendix A. Because there were no changes to the assessment roll this year, neither a preliminary rate resolution or a newspaper ad was required. Staff recommends council adopt resolution number 396-25.
Thank you. And I just wanted to touch on this, that we hashed through this a while back. Kentucky Avenue has been a big subject for a few years. And we did have standing room only with the residents back there. Once again, we tried to explain why we were doing it. There was lots of owners, and if anybody would like to know the story, I'd be happy to meet with you, or anybody up here could meet with you and fill you in. It was pretty involved to get to this point, and so that's where we're at. So we're just looking for some action and a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 396-25, adopting the final rate resolution for fiscal year 25-26, tax year 2025, South Kentucky Avenue Area Assessment.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to Kaylee for the question.
Councilmember Darms,
Yes.
Councilmember Knight,
Yes.
Councilmember Tiamson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Grimm,
Yes.
Councilmember Stafford,
Yes.
Mayor Marks.
Yes, and resolution number 396-25 passes. Moving on to discussions and action, we have none. Number 9, reports, interim city manager.
I'll be brief. I have nothing to report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to.
Nothing's happened in the last week of your,
It's rather overwhelming, but all good. So it's definitely been busy, and but it's manageable, and we're all working together. I've made my way through meeting with individual department heads to coordinate, what do they need, ask questions, offer them to ask questions, and they've been very, very good and kind to me. I appreciate them all. I did know, you asked about Rebecca Wilk. Rebecca Wilk is our new HR. I have introduced her individually to all of our department heads and so forth. I expect her to be at the next meeting to formally interview, or be introduced, not interview, sorry. And I did find out that the day she started, we did send out a citywide email to all employees saying, hey, she's here, please come visit her. I know I've seen a lot of traffic. She comes with a wealth of experience, 25 years or more, if I'm not mistaken, and she's just going to be a great fit for our organization.
Outstanding.
So thank you for pointing that out, but I wanted to share she should be here at the next meeting, and we can all meet her.
thank you. I just asked her that because I think it's important that the employees know who the HR person is, if they have any issues. And none of us have seen or heard who she is yet, so we're excited. Thank you. City Clerk, any report?
I have no report.
Nothing? Okay.
No, just trying to keep up with everything and keep it all going.
All right. City Attorney?
Nothing tonight. I just also want to say I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here. All right, new business? Do we have any new business? Councilmember Knight?
When we were down for the Florida League of Cities annual conference, we got to meet a lot of other folks from other cities and talk about things that they do on their council and in their city and that type of thing. We had a dinner one night and we were meeting, sat with some folks from Bradenton area in Sarasota, and they do a thing every quarter where city council gets together up on the dais and has an open forum where citizens can come in and listen, but we get to shoot around ideas and talk about what we would be interested in as presenting, for future agendas and stuff like that. And I wanted to know if council would be interested in maybe giving that a trial run and see how it goes.
Becky? Are we allowed to do that? Because it would have to be publicly noticed if we're all in the.
Yes, it's a full-on
So it would be like a workshop.
Yes.
Right.
Which I love that idea myself. I think we should be having workshops once in a while anyway, because we can't talk unless we're here.
Right.
And there's things that we need to do in the city, but we need to be transparent so the residents can come also. And as you see tonight, we go boom, boom, boom down the agenda and we do our housekeeping, we get our things done, but we don't really get into the mud of things that maybe you all need or that we have ideas about that we learned from other elected officials. So if we could just get a head nod, if that's okay to bring it back.
I would love that.
Yep. Thank you. Any other new business? Okay. I would like to ask if we could bring back, to look at the sign code, to see if we can make some changes to the sign code. I had a local business that came to me regarding their sign and their property. We met with Development Services. Their property is, what was the word?
Non-conforming.
Non-conforming. Basically, their property's been there so long that it's really close to 1792, and what the applicant is saying that their sign would be so far back off the road that you wouldn't see it till you passed their business. And so I believe one size doesn't fit all for businesses, and so I think we need to look at the code and see if there's any way to update it for certain people that have those non-conforming. I know that I had talked to Christine about looking into how many businesses in the city does this really impact. If it's only a handful of people, we really need to help them, because if you can't see their sign, then they can't perform their business, right? So, and the sign code is another thing that, it all kind of bundles together. The code's been written for, I think, Joe said about 7 years, maybe? 6 or 7 years. So it's not that old, but the city's changing. We have way more businesses since I moved here coming into Orange City, and I think we need to give our businesses a little love and try to help them to prosper. So if you're okay with that, we just need a head nod to bring it back.
I got a question. Because when they put the new sign ordinance out, it was people that had been here for years, and the council made them do the signs as required in the ordinance. So why would we do it for one or two people and not all?
Yeah.
Because the companies that had to change their signs, they had been here forever.
So I'll touch on that real quick, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong, Christine. So when I came on the council, that went into effect that they had maybe 15 or 20 years to comply to change the way their sign was from pole signs to monument signs. And when I came in, there was a lot of businesses in the uproar and was like, I got to take down a perfectly good sign and put a monument sign, because that current council at that time wanted to look like Winter Park. And so they started to change it. So there was, and this is many years ago in the works, but when I came in, I didn't realize that. And so I went out to the businesses asking questions, and they were very upset. And I tried to fight it, but there was, I think, 90% of the business had already complied with it. And if they didn't comply, they were going to have to take their sign down. Some businesses moved out of Orange City because they were very upset about it, and some finally complied, after that. And it was a big expense for the business. It was, I feel like it wasn't a very nice gesture of Orange City to do that, but I wasn't part of that when it happened. We're all new up here, and so it's a different subject. That's about what kind of sign, but what I'm talking about is regulate, and, if someone wants to have, for example, the farmer's market, well, maybe that's not a good example because that's a special event, right? Well, if someone wanted to put I call it a flutter sign, but what do you call it, a feather sign out?
Feather, I'm like getting tongue twisted.
We just have certain things in our code or in our ordinance that says you can't put a sign out at certain places. Obviously, you can't put it in the right of way any city, right? But it just, we really need to take a look at it and try to be a little more friendly with the businesses so that if they want to put out a sign, a yard sign, we'll say, and they don't have to get a permit to get a yard sign out for one day as long as they bring it back. And that's just as an example. And we can all go through that if it comes back to say, what is the right thing to do for these businesses so that they can be successful and not tighten up so hard on the reins where they can't put signs out in certain places. But we also have to think about, when we discuss it, is we don't want the sign to be trash with signs all over the place either, because that was brought up in our emails. If everybody got the email from the radio, like, we don't want signs everywhere either, but we need to regulate it, but we also need to be friendly to our businesses so that they don't move out of Orange City.
But we're talking about being fair across the board for all
Yeah.
businesses, correct?
Correct.
So if
Yes.
everybody want to put a flutter signs up, we're going to accept that because they meet the, see, this is what I'm not
So this
understanding.
is
How
just-
can we determine?
So
Who
this is
gets
just
to-
me asking you if we can bring it back to discuss it. We're not discussing it tonight. It's just,
Oh,
I love what you're saying, but just say yes and we'll bring it back and we'll talk till the moon comes out. I don't know. So I just need a head nod if you'd like to bring it back to talk about it, because that's what new business is you present it. And then if it comes back, then we'll have a long discussion about it. Is everybody on board?
On board, yep.
So no?
and I'm just one vote, but no.
Okay.
5-1.
What's that?
It's 5-1. We'll be
Okay.
coming back.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other new business? Okay, we're moving on. Approval of minutes, we have none. Council and mayor's comments. Any comments from the council?
I
Vice
got
Mayor?
one. Yes, I was lucky enough to go to the Volusia County Elected Officials Roundtable in September, and there was a few things mentioned. It was pretty good. One, the Volusia County Superintendent, Dr. Carmen Bagobin, I probably didn't say that
Dr.
right.
B, just call her Dr.
Yeah,
B.
Dr. B, yeah. She was very proud that in Volusia County, there's no F or D schools. So she really, she was really talking that up. It happened to be at the Daytona Beach International Airport, and there was big news there. JetBlue is coming back. They're gonna do daily shuttle runs from Daytona to New York and Daytona to Mass. So that got some good feedback. There was another guy, John Bailey. He was talking about information technology, about artificial intelligence. Get on board. It's not going away. It's more and more in government life. So that was a topic of conversation. Also, some of the mayors that were there were talking about a subcommittee, and they're talking about a flood coalition grant writing. They're trying to get something set up for that, for future storms. So it was, all in all, very good. And that's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'd like to ask, because I missed the last meeting, and it was talked about the Charter Review Committee, and I guess to do another review of the charter, and I was wondering, how would that go? How many people would be selected? who do the selection of them, and would council do it like in the past?
Okay, Kaylee?
Mr. Waters, our new city attorney, and I are currently actually working on that, and that agenda item is due to come to you on September 23rd.
Okay.
And then we'll have discussion about how we're gonna do it. Okay, because I asked that question earlier too.
Okay.
Yes, so I haven't gotten everything detailed out yet, but yes, we will be ready to present that item on September 23rd.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on the council? Okay.
I've got a quick question. So at our last meeting, I believe when we appointed Christine Davis as interim city manager, did we also get with the attorney and we're putting together a committee or something to the effect of in the search of the...
That started before Dale left, and
Oh,
is
it
with
did.
purchasing, and we'll be coming back probably the first meeting in October.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, I have a couple announcements. Let's see. We'll start with September 24th is State of the City for Orange City at John Knox Village from 7:30 a.m. till 9:30 a.m. If any of the residents would like to register, you have to pre-register to watch the State of the City. It's a city address from the mayor, but also the mayor has included the council, so I hope you all have gotten with our public information officer and done your part of your video. We're going to be a little different than the other cities. We're going to do a video of the whole council, not just the mayor. I think it's important if we're going to work together as a team that we should all be speaking to the residents. So I didn't want to be the only one up there speaking for all of us. And so that's the 24th of September. And you can pre-register online with the DeLand Chamber of Commerce. And then we have, let's see, the 18th, Backpack Buddies is having a food drop giveaway in PFC Bennett Park, if any of y'all would like to join. And that will be represented by Publix supermarkets. And they actually have the big CEO flying in for this event. So this event has been chosen as one of the best food drops in Florida. So they're going to have press there, and it would be great if y'all could show up for that.
What time are we
And-
gonna be there?
Well, the food drop starts at 9. The traffic starts people start lining up at 5 a.m. for food because prices are high and people are struggling. So after 7 a.m., usually you can't get in the park. So if you're planning on showing up between 7 and 8, it's probably a good time to get in. If any of the residents need food, it's free food, and it's coming from Second Harvest Food Bank and Publix.
What was the date again?
18th, Thursday the 18th, next week. Also next week on September 19th is a ribbon cutting for Orange City Elementary, which has been long in coming. So if anybody wants to be there for the new school ribbon cutting, and that is at 9 a.m.
Yes.
Then we had the Volusia League of Cities coming up. We got a busy week next week, everybody. Volusia League of Cities dinner is the 25th. Looking forward to that, Norman Beach. And then my last thing that I wanted to say was that I had talked to Christine about adding, offering Robert's Rules of Orders as a, I lost my train of thought, as a
The ebook version.
ebook version. You know that thick book? I think Dawn brought it in. That's a lot for anybody that's working a full-time job and trying to digest all that. So, and I think that book helps our meetings go smoother, right? But these ebooks you can do while you're cleaning the house or, doing the yard or whatever. Just, it might be a little easier to digest if you listen to them. So Christine agreed that she'll try to get a subscription so that we can
Listen.
take advantage of that if you'd like.
Good.
And with that being said, we just need a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Got a motion, we got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned.